You, the American taxpayer, have given billions to help sponsor unaccompanied children and teens at the border. Last fiscal year, federal funding hit an all-time high with 150,000 unaccompanied minors encountered, and now more than half are somehow missing. Joining us this morning with the details, the CEO and founder of OpenTheBooks.com, Adam Andrzejewski. Good Friday morning to you. Thanks for joining us here.
Good morning, Jan.
In the past 10 years, Adam, $13 billion has been spent on children and teens who try to cross the border without a family member. How much money did we spend this past fiscal year, and where does this money go? Explain the process.
So it was $2.7 billion with a B just last year in fiscal year 2022 for about 150,000 unaccompanied minors that came across the border. You break that down, it's about $18,000 per unaccompanied child. And this, quite simply, is the law of unintended consequences of a loose border policy. When you can't secure your nation's border, all of a sudden you have circumstances where there are unaccompanied minor children, those children under 18 years of age that don't have a legal guardian that come across the border. So as a responsible nation, you have to take care of these children in a responsible way. So you educate them, you have to sponsor them and try to reunite them with family members or with their guardians or parents. You have to provide for their health care, foster care. You have to take care of that child. And that's where the costs come in.
And unfortunately, earlier this year, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services came under fire big time because of all these reports that we have these migrant children that are being trafficked, placed with these abusive sponsors, forced to work. And in fact, an Inspector General report released this year criticized the agency for lacking just simple background checks on employees that are caring for these children. Adam, what else do we know about this situation and how these children are being handled by our government agencies here?
Well, it seems like it's in chaos. So, Jan, over the course of the last 2 years, there's been 260,000 unaccompanied minors come across basically 100% across our southern border. So if you think about that, there's only 90 cities across the entire country with a population more than 250,000. You have an entire system here that is absolutely overwhelmed and cannot ensure the safety of these minor children. For example, just last month in the halls of Congress, giving testimony was the director of this federal agency, and she couldn't even answer basic questions. She couldn't say whether the system was adequate in terms of how they sponsor children today. She couldn't give basic information to the members of Congress on, for instance, the rejection rates on an application to sponsor a child. You had whistleblower testimony also given to this congressional committee, saying that they've seen apartment buildings with up to 50 kids sponsored and reunited with their families. They've seen children reunited with family members that speak a different language. They've seen multiple single actors collecting children from multiple federal sites. I mean, it seems like this is a human health catastrophe.
It absolutely is, and it's a huge mess because even despite all that, which is horrible, all that money spent, and we have reports now that indicate 85,000 sponsored children are missing. They just somehow disappeared. That's out of the 150,000 that came into the country. So then now more than half somehow are not accounted for. Where is the accountability here?
Well, there is no accountability, and Congress can't get good answers out of leadership. So you have, basically over 2 years, 260,000 children and 85,000, the federal agency, they don't know the location of these children, Jan. So every single month, there's supposed to be a well check on a sponsored child. And those for 85,000 children, the calls are not being returned. So this is a huge problem. The federal system is so overwhelmed, it cannot ensure the safety of the kids.
And just to put this in perspective very quickly, $18,000 per unaccompanied child at the border. That's how much we're spending right now, about $18,000. For perspective, that's nearly twice the average cost of K-12 education in Texas per student. So what does that tell us, really, Adam, about how our taxpayer dollars are being used? And what's the impact going to be as these border encounters continue to rise?
Well, I think the only solution here, the only answer here is you have to secure the southern border, because otherwise you get this unintended consequence of a crush of unaccompanied minor children. So think about this, Jan. You've got bad actors taking advantage of the situation. You've got children that we can't ensure their safety. You've got leadership in front of Congress that can't provide answers. You've got nonprofit organizations that are supposed to be providing for these children that are reaping billions, and their CEOs are making more than the president of the United States. And then at the end of the day, you got taxpayers paying the bill. The entire system is broken.
All right, we appreciate you joining us this morning, Adam, and bringing this to our attention. Founder and CEO of OpenTheBooks.com, Adam Andrzejewski. Thanks for joining us. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.